Chainsaw-wielding anarcho-capitalist Javier Milei has made Argentina great using the same tactics Trump, Elon, and Vivek hoped to accomplish with Doge. Now, Milei is doubling down with even more radical reforms. So in recent videos, I talked about Milei, how he cut 1/3 of government spending in Argentina, which is equivalent to over $2 trillion in U.S. terms. This represented nearly 6% of GDP, yet the economy shrunk just 3.5%. In other words, the private sector immediately grew enough to cover half the GDP hit. Now, a year later, JP Morgan says Argentina will grow by 8.5%, at which point the private sector will have made back 2 times what the government workers were costing, with much more to come. Now, taking a chainsaw to Argentina's bloated state balanced the budget. It brought inflation from 13% a month to just 2.4%, sent Argentina's bonds up 85%, and Argentinian stocks up 125%. The Argentinian people have noticed Milei is now one of the most popular leaders in the world, just behind fellow populist Nayib Bukele in El Salvador. Now, most presidents might call it a win and coast the rest of their term. Milei is doubling down because he actually cares about saving Argentina. In a recent televised address, Milei announced a raft of reforms he's going after next. These include a 90% reduction in the number of taxes, so instead of paying 41 different federal taxes, you might pay 4. They include a de facto dollar standard, which shutters the central bank money printer, so Argentinians will be able to buy, sell, invoice, and save in dollars. Pesos are only for paying taxes. He embarked on a, quote, ruthless audit of regulations to free up the economy and, quote, eliminate agencies, secretariats, undersecretariats, public companies, and every state institution that should not exist. Beyond that, he's cracking down on crime, inspired by his friend Bukele in El Salvador, and he is mapping out construction of nuclear reactors so Argentinians can have cheap electricity, while Europe struggles to make do with dinky windmills. The globalist mothership New York Times, of course, was horrified. They did grant that Milei, quote, tamed the economy, which is a rather understated way to say rescued from hyperinflation. But the Times was a lot more interested in laid-off government workers and reduced government handouts to universities, the mothership of the mothership. They even complained how Milei didn't close the central bank on day one, which of course would have set off a financial crisis that the Times would have gleefully seized upon why freedom does not work. Now, Javier Milei has been a near-perfect real-world illustration that the policies of Trump and Doge work. Lower taxes, lower regulations, lower spending. And Milei's popularity shows that even with the initial hit from lower spending, they'll win popular support as the economy roars, even in the face of hostile media, because eventually people believe their wallet. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. You'd think after a century of Marxism, it would be obvious that shrinking government, cutting taxes and regulations, and freeing up the people both works and is popular. But of course, the 2 salient facts of big government is 1, it does everything bad, 2, it buys a lot of friends. Those friends of big government destroyed Argentina. They were busy destroying America, but the tide is turning. Now, Milei's already been an inspiration for Doge. He'll be an inspiration for other voters and leaders across Latin America, and apparently, he's only getting started. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.